New details this afternoon from Oshkosh Police following a weapons complaint Wednesday in the 800 block of Central Street. The suspect facing multiple charges of recklessly endangering safety, possession of child pornography, among other charges. In a First Alert update, Samantha Cavalli spoke with police about their investigation so far and their plea to the public to continue to report suspicious activity.
It was someone who knew the suspect that made the initial 911 call to police about the weapons complaint. Once officers entered the residence, that's when they discovered more about the suspect. Investigators say the suspect, a 25-year-old Oshkosh man, had been firing a rifle inside his house. Shortly after police arrived, they arrested him. Officers on scene learned the rifle was placed on a tripod, rigged to shoot at anyone opening the suspect's bedroom door. Using a ladder, police were able to enter the bedroom and dismantle the spring gun prior to learning it was unloaded. Officer Kate Mann with the Oshkosh Police Department says it's believed it was the same firearm that the suspect fired inside the house. No one was hurt, but there is property damage to the bedroom and a home next door. During their search of the suspect's home, police say they also found child pornography materials in the bedroom. Officer Mann applauds the person who reported the crime, saying they prevented a situation where someone could potentially get hurt or killed.
In this case, the reporting party did everything right. So when they knew that this firearm was being discharged within the residence, as well as the rifle on the tripod, they alerted us to the situation so that we could immediately start investigating it.
We're still awaiting more details on if the suspect was home by himself during this incident and what the motive was for his actions. Oshkosh Police reminding everyone that if you see something, say something. In Oshkosh, Samantha Cavalli, Action 2 News.